What's up guys, and welcome back to some more Pokemon Sun and Moon coverage, and today I am giving you my speculations on the Litten evolution line. What is Litten going to evolve into? What type will it be, if anything? Will it change, if anything? What, animals from real life will the further evolutions take inspiration from? Stuff like that. So we'll go in and we'll do some type speculation first up. Of course, the first thing up is Litten could stay pure fire throughout the whole evolution line and sort of, be similar to Typhlosion and not get an extra typing. Thinking about it, it doesn't need to get one if we assume it's just gonna, if its whole evolution line is going to stay cat-like, it could, easily stay pure fire all the way along. Of course, people think otherwise, because there are many different types it could be, in my opinion at least. Firstly, there's Fire Dark, since if you look at Litten's design, it's red and black, so dark, if you're going by colours at least, dark is very likely to be a secondary typing coming in at some point. That's another idea. A third one is Fire Electric. This is more of a hoping from my part. I would love to see a Fire Electric type, especially from, starter Pokemon, and I'll explain later on how some design aspects might fit in well with that. Then we have the Fire Poison typing. I've seen this thrown around a fair bit actually. This is because, again, because of one of the sort of inspirations it could be from, and also just because it might fit as well, in certain ways, design-wise, and also, Fire Poison, if it's really based off of Sulphur, we were talking about this in the Alchemy Theory video. Litten has the Sulphur symbol on its face-ish, and obviously Sulphur is Fire and Brimstone, so Poison might make sense with that as well. And the final typing here is Fire Ground. This sort of links from the starter leaks, where it might indicate that the ground typing will come in at some point. However, it's icon number 3 and fire is number 4, so it might not mean it's related to Litten's evolution line at all. So who knows? Those are the 5 types we're going to be thinking about as we go through this video. But we'll then jump on to look at the sort of middle evolution stage and what might it look like basically. So I think everyone's in consensus that Litten's middle evolution will be a slightly bigger version of Litten. There's not going to be too many sort of appearance changes, in my opinion. It may gain its extra type if it, of course, is gaining an extra type at this stage. It would be likely to, instead of just having it in the last bit, because then at least you got some more time with it. But you can see here, obviously, a good array of designs. They're all cat-like. Some are the top left is very similar to Litten and just gaining a bit more design-wise, whereas the bottom left is more of it's grown a bit, and most of them, are just cat-like. Obviously, talking about cats, there's your household cat, and then there are cats in the wild. But when I say cat, I mean a household cat. You can see most of these here are based on cats you would have in your house or as a pet. And when we get on to the final evolution, which we'll be doing in a second, of course, that's where you get your bigger cats coming in here. So I've sort of divided this final evolution into 2 sets almost. The first one being Tiger, because looking at it, Litten, Tiger could easily come from it. We haven't really had a Tiger Pokemon before. I can't think of anything expressly based off of a Tiger off the top of my head, so a Tiger Tiger sort of basis might make a huge amount of sense. Looking at these 5 designs here, they look very cool. The top left is obviously the Fire Poison type design, with the poison sort of coming off with the fire as well. And then obviously the 3 central ones in the bottom left, middle, and bottom right could be Fire Dark possibly, or Fire Ground's a bit weird because I can't really see it happening myself, because how would you change a cat's design to make sense with that? So none of these really echo the Fire Ground, but the bottom right one here sort of echoes Fire Electric. This is the basis for this, is what this design is based around. You can obviously see it might make sense there because of the extra white coming in the design, the sort of design patterns, the harsh edges and such, and obviously the person that made the start was designing it as Fire Electric. So that's what we're talking about there, and I think that's all the types. Apart from obviously Pure Fire could easily be placed on any of the middle 3 as well. It doesn't, just because it has a lot of dark and a lot of black on its design, doesn't mean it's going to be a Fire Dark type. It just lends towards it a bit more. So then if we look at the second set here, these are ones that aren't based on the tigers as much. The left 3 are based on lions, and the rest are based on other sort of concepts. So a lion basis isn't as likely for Litten's final evolution. Why? Because we've got Pyroar, which is part fire type last generation, and again this generation we've got Legendary, who is a lion basis. So it's very unlikely that they're going to bring in a third fire lion, especially in the same sort of time frame as the others. So that's why I don't really see the top 3 happening, especially sort of the middle 2. The top left one, I can't really tell if it's based on a lion or not. It's a bit of a weirder design, but it looks pretty cool, so whatever. But these other 4 here, you can see sort of the bottom middle one it's a bit different to the other ones, of course. Fire Dark would again fit it pretty well. It's based on just a cat, standing up on its hind legs, and obviously most of these designs, as you can see, are quadrupeds, and this is the only bipedal one here. It's unlikely for it to be bipedal in my opinion, because they want to sort of, well, if I was Game Freak, I'd want to stray away from firefighting bipedal starters, if they had any sense, of course. And obviously quadrupeds would be a good way to do that. So it's unlikely it'll be a bipedal one, but the other 3 ones here, sort of the bottom, the right one and the bottom right one, are sort of linking in the fire poison, but also could be fire dark, as well as sort of this middle one here. It's a different style of drawing, but these could be fire dark, or you could link them into other typings as well, as pure fire and stuff like that. But let's talk about its inspiration first and see where some of these typings might be coming from and why we're talking about it basically. So the first one first idea we've spoken about already is tigers, because it would just make a whole lot of sense because you haven't had a tiger Pokemon before. Maybe you could say Growlithe, but obviously that leads into a lion anyway. So tiger is a big point, to be a big sort of possibility, but there are other ones as well. And then we move on to the fire poison typing, and this is from the Manticore. Now, this is a picture of Manticore. As you can see, it looks a lot like a lion because that's technically what it is. It's a legendary creature, basically, a mythical creature. It's similar to a sphinx, but it has the body of a lion, a human head, and obviously it looks like, you can sort of see some lion in the head in that picture as well, but body of a lion, human head, and sometimes bat-like wings, as you can see there. And as you can see in this design as well, a tail of a scorpion, or sometimes it's a dragon as well, but the scorpion tail is what introduces the poison typing here. And obviously it doesn't necessarily have to have wings, because if they were to do it, they probably wouldn't have to give it wings, because we've got Charizard fire flying already. So give it some sort of they wouldn't do it with a lion either, of course, as I mentioned, because lions are unlikely. But a Manticore is again another possibility. A few people have mentioned the possibility of the whole trio being sort of mythological creatures, like you could have Rowlet turning into a Griffin, possibly something like that, Litten turning into a Manticore, and I'm not sure really what you would do with Popplio, but we'll see next episode, not in that video, you know what I mean. But the other cats you could see some basis from. There are a few more big cats, of course. There is the leopard, the panther, the cheetah, the jaguar. Leopard, I've said leopard already. I'm gonna miss a couple here, but there's a pictures a few, and obviously I want to pick out panther particularly because you can see panthers have a this panther has this nice black coat which would link into the dark typing as well. But the other thing I want to pick up is basically on leopard, cheetah, and I forgot the other ones, but you guys get the idea there. They have very similar markings, spots or sort of blops, and this could be linked in or likened to magma and how lava sort of appears, and they could sort of link the fire typing in like that and have this design on the body. I wouldn't expect it to be on the whole body, of course, because it would look a bit repetitive, and they tend to like to mix it up a bit, mix it around, but of course it's just sort of something I wanted to pick out. But okay, so the pictures we have here, we have the leopard, which is the top left by the tiger. We also have a jaguar in the center, and then a cheetah to the top right, as well as the panther at the bottom. Okay, so that's which is which. There's also other types of big cats like a puma, which could be linked in somehow, or a cougar, of course. It could be any of these big cats really, because we have cats and it can go to all these different things. So there's just a load of different possibilities, and it most likely will be a mix of a few in the end, of course. But if I show you my 2 picks for today's, or for this linking here, we have Litten, and I've chosen this design, which basically is a bigger Litten. Some changes on the design, but nothing too amazing, you know, nothing like a, you know, because that's what they usually do. You have Charmander and Charmeleon, very similar, Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, very similar, Oshawott, Dewott, very similar, and then obviously the bigger change happens for the final evolution, which is then here. I was very torn on which, you know, final evolution to choose here, and I'm still not sure if I've chosen my favourite, because it's very hard to pick, but this one looks awesome, so I decided I'd just pick this one anyway. But what I want to get from you guys is what do you want to see from the Litten evolution line? What typing do you hope to see from Litten? Fire Poison, Pure Fire, Fire Electric, something, you know, Fire Dark, something crazy like that. Let me know down below what you want to see typing wise and design wise. You know, what inspiration do you want to see? Manticore, Tiger, you know, whatever. Let me know down below with your thoughts and comments, and I'd love to see and love to read them later on. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button, and I'll be back soon with Pop Leo's video on, yeah, version of Pop Leo's video, and see what Pop Leo might evolve into. But for now, this is it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.